All right, Nick. We are we're here, baby. We're here. This might be one of the tougher shows of the year, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah. Yeah, not a fun night for the old Red Legs.
Yeah. We're here. I mean, we're here. There's a couple things that are relatively interesting. Season's not over. But I will say, it's disappointing that the Reds, quite frankly, have not won a meaningful series. And by meaningful, I mean like a direct competition between flip-flopping places in a division and or flip-flopping places in a wild card race. And they just have not they've not had success. And I know I put out a tweet that said they have not won a series where they were actually directly trying to chase somebody, and Bryce Baldwin corrected me a little bit about the wild card race, but at the time, I had said it was in May, the last time when they originally had swept the Cubs. That's back right before they went to Boston, if you can remember back that far, but that's kind of was the start, if you will, of the Reds starting to become a team that we thought maybe had higher aspirations than just playing 162 games. And They did sweep the Diamondbacks earlier this year to where they leapfrogged them, I guess, in the wild card. But at that time, the Reds were one game out of first place in the division. So, good swing by Steer. But they just have not won many series that have mattered, Nick.
They won the series against the Dodgers. I mean,
but they're not chasing the Dodgers. They're not chasing the Dodgers.
But how many series have they had that was a team that they were chasing other than the Brewers? Like they've had two series against the Cubs.
The Brewers, the Cubs. These will be the Diamondbacks, the Giants.
They split the Giants.
They beat the Giants in a series? When did they beat the Giants in a series?
Split 4.
Okay,
remember?
Yeah, they split.
I
know, they split. Yes, correct.
We were there. On the boat.
They're on the
boat. Feels
like
a million years ago. It was like a month ago. Yeah. I'll see yours on second.
I don't know if I believe in that. Jed WVA. Seems like we've changed the philosophy at the plate. I don't think so. I think we're just got guys that are hurt. We don't have that many great players right now in the lineup. CES has not been very good. Looks lost. What about Steer getting the ball ripped from him from a 10-year-old? How do you think he's going to feel about that in the clubhouse? There's no doubt in my mind the guys are going to be all over his tail about that. I mean, they might have to let it settle for a day or two. They can't come in tonight. Obviously, everyone's going to be upset they lost, so they can't really bring it up tonight. But if the Reds were to win this game tonight, he'd be getting absolutely ripped in the clubhouse for letting a 10-year-old just straight up just steal a ball out of his glove. But in a couple days, it's coming. There's no doubt in my mind Steer is going to be absolutely ribbed by his guys for letting a 10-year-old just straight up. I mean, it was a 50-50 ball. 10-year-old came up with it.
And everyone's like, "Oh, that poor kid." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That kid is a legend." Like,
yeah,
that kid is thrilled. Like later in life, he's going to be thrilled he got ejected. Like, that just adds to the greatness of it. Like, that's awesome for him.
Mark Fetter says that kid called him off. I like that, Mark. That's witty. That's witty, dog. I love that, Mark.
That's good.
I'm ready to talk about that when we get in the show. I really do want to talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to get too crazy over the top about it, but I think it's a relatively interesting conversation. at the end of the day, I don't know if it really mattered. Well, I know it didn't actually.
Yeah, David Bell's son, he got kicked out. They have to. It's a rule. If you get called for fan interference, it's an automatic ejection.
Yeah, they had to. It almost felt like there was a small chance for they're like, hey, we kind of have to make it look like we're going to throw you out. So you're going to have to come back with us, and we'll put you up in a suite, and you can watch the rest of the game. I really do think that's a very strong possibility.
Or hey, if we hang on, we'll let you come down to the clubhouse after the game. Look, he's behind the scenes or something.
Yeah.
The Tommy Pham may not like him.
Boy, I tell you what, I'm fighting the good fight right now. And that hit him. Don't make it easy on yourselves now. You know, don't make it easy. Can we get another little hit by pitch and maybe a little base hit and have somebody come up to the plate with a tying run?
I would support that.
Yeah, that seems like that would be interesting and fun.
Yeah, at least make these guys use some arms. I mean,
it's amazing that guys just throwing 101 miles an hour in a 10-4 game. Velocity is just a dime a dozen now, isn't it? It really is. Guys just throw hard everywhere.
Benson is scuffling a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not the only one, but yeah. I just want to get lucky. That'd be kind of cool. Accidentally hit him in the foot. He doesn't get hurt.
God, 9 walks. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that was the real problem in that inning, if we're going to be honest. The whole Ellie Steer situation's one thing, but you can't walk 2 guys and hit a guy. Expect to get out of the inning without there being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's directly after getting a big home run by Martini too. So yeah, it's just gross. This team's just not playing very good baseball. That's a ball. Great take, dude. Let's walk him, Nick. Can we walk him? Oh, shit.
He's scuffling. Well,
this just makes it even. I mean, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but that almost just pisses me off more. I guess that guy wouldn't have been in the game if it wasn't for a 10-4 game, right? Can we make ourselves feel better with that, right? This guy's not.
See another pitcher making another pitcher throw.
I know, but I'm not. I'm just saying in general terms. Yeah. I'm not going to look at the score tonight and say, "Hey, they scored 8 runs and we lost the game." That's being a little.
Yeah, it's only one out. Bloop and a blast.
I mean, that's just pissed on.
3 home runs to no home runs.
That got Chris Welsh. A little fired up. Did you hear Chris? Chris is getting a little excited. Golly, this field is too big.
Long home run. What was that?
That Matt McLean ball that he hit in the first inning was not. I mean, that not being a home run is just absurd to me.
Yeah, 409, 18 of 30 on that McLean. I mean, they should have had 4 home runs tonight. I mean,
if anything, they should feel a little bit better about themselves tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
Guess we're here to bring up the old moral victory game. They wanted the stream to go a little bit longer. Chad, I'm going to bring you back out. You know what I'm saying? Got a commercial. Feel like it's safe to come back now. I don't think that his defensive play last inning was really all that horrific. I mean, it was a sharply hit ball to right field. He was trying to come in and make a play on it. It short hopped him and it just got by him. It wasn't like it was a horrible play. At least that's not how I seen it.
Who are we talking about?
That Will Benson play. I mean, was it a great play? No, but I mean, it's a ball. It's absolutely pissed on to right field. It's a line drive. You have to make a decision. You're going to come in and try to get it or not. He came in and tried to get it, and he was one step too late, and he tried to get in front of it on a short hop and rolled all the way to the wall. When you give up 10 runs, it's pretty easy to try to go back and pick and choose which runs you'd like to have happen. But
yeah,
when you walk the world, that's the problem. You can't walk the world, Nick.
And like you mentioned, if you make some of those defensive plays, you're not seeing that pitcher, or you're not seeing that pitcher face Will Benson with the bases loaded.
Correct.
They're bringing in a lefty to face Will Benson. It's a totally different situation. But hey,
Tyler Stevenson, just the guy, baby. He's just the guy we need to get this thing going here. Let's get it going, Ty. Come on. Come on. Let's do something stupid. Let's get lucky and do something stupid. I mean, sometimes I do wonder what guys like. What's their plan when they go up there? You swing at that pitch. Are we still talking about that home run right now?
No, talking about this guy. He throws over 100 too. You just run him out there.
With all due respect, John, it's a 2-run game with 1 out already. Make that 2 outs. Well,
I mean, Ginkel was their closer before they acquired him.
Yeah, this guy's not a scrub.
Yeah.
Just find a way to get on base. I mean, what the fuck, dude? That must look like a fastball, I guess. Because if it's not, if it doesn't look like a fastball, then I'm not sure what we're doing. 0-0 pitch, and we're swinging at sliders in the dirt. Game's hard though, Nick. I'll give him credit for that. He's just not seeing that pitch well. This is where, like in all honesty, sometimes I think you can kind of get too cute with it to where Ginkles tries to sneak a fastball by him and he laces one. I just sit there and throw that little slider he's throwing right there like 8 times in a row. Yep, he had no chance. He legitimately never stood a chance. All right, let's do a show. All right, Nick. Reds fall 10-8. I think the score can be a little misleading. Could be a little misleading. I think the score is not really truly what the game felt like. It was a little bit of a blowout until Will Benson. Obviously, I'll let you do the box score recap, but Will Benson with the big swing to kind of tighten that up a little bit, make it look a little better than it really was. Let's do this. Obviously, it's late. We've had a plethora of late games. Don't know how long this one's going to go. Maybe it'll go forever. We say that before, and we do an hour-and-a-half show. Who knows what happens? But let's do a box score recap, Nick, and then let's get into some topics of conversation.
All right. Reds Diamondbacks game 2 of 4. Hunter Green against Brandon fought. Bottom of the first, Hunter Green 1-2-3. And then at the top of the second, Nick Martini turned on an inside fastball, made it 1-0 Reds. Bottom of the third, Noelvi Marte made an incredible play with runners on the second and third to end the inning and hold the Reds 1-0 lead. But then it unraveled in the fourth. With one out, Gurriel Jr. hit a ball to Friedl. Friedl overthrew the ball into the infield, allowing Gurriel to get second base. Alec Thomas then singled to Benson. He tried to throw with really no chance of getting the runner out, allowing Thomas to get the second, game tied at 1. Hunter Green then walked a batter. Then Jace Peterson, the Diamondbacks hitter, with a lovely 78 weighted runs created plus, hit a 2 RBI triple, just 79.8 off the bat. 160 expected batting average. That made it 3-1 Diamondbacks. Hunter Green then got a line out, but then he walked 2 more batters. And Tommy Pham hit a 2-2 slider for a single. 5-1 Diamondbacks. Hunter Green's day was done. In the top of the 6th, Matt McClain singled. Elly De La Cruz came to the plate. In his first 2 at-bats, Elly hit a ball at 107 and 109 with nothing to show for it. He decided to lay down a bunt with a third baseman playing back, and it was a beauty. And then with 2 outs, Nick Martini cranked his second homer of the night, 105 off the bat, and just like that, it was a 5-4 game. But in the bottom of the 6th, Brett Kennedy walked the first 2 batters, got an out, then he hit a batter. Then he got a big pop-up that the infield fly rule was called on. The ball drifted a bit into the outfield a bit. Elly and Steer both appeared to be trying to call each other off. Elly caught the ball, but Steer came crashing into him, knocking Elly down and allowing a run to score That certainly would not have scored otherwise. That made it 6-4 Diamondbacks. Then the bottom of the seventh, Diamondbacks added 2 more runs off Kennedy. Could have been worse. Steer sort of robbed a 3-run home run by Tommy Pham to end the inning. A kid, literally with his glove, took the ball out of Steer's glove in one of the most wild plays you'll ever see. Fan interference was correctly called. Poor kid was ejected. Inning over. Diamondbacks got 2 more in the 8th. Reds sort of came back in the 9th. Will Benson hit a grand slam, but it wasn't enough. Reds fall 10-8 to the Diamondbacks. Now puts the Reds a game out of a playoff spot behind the Cubs, who hold the 3rd wild card spot. Diamondbacks hold the 2nd wild card spot. They're a game and a half ahead of the Reds. Reds are 5 back in the NL Central. Pretty much at this point, probably for all intents and purposes, closing the door on the division.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the division is toast. And you got to give the Brewers some credit. I think that the Brewers deserve some praise. They've done nothing but play great ever since the All-Star break. So you can't say the same about the Cincinnati Reds. Unfortunately, it just feels a little demoralizing. I know maybe I'm being a little too hard on them right this very second, but it just feels like anytime there's a big moment, a big series, they flounder. They don't rise to the occasion. And I get that they've swept not the Diamondbacks. They did sweep the Diamondbacks back in July. I get they swept the Dodgers twice. I mean they won 2 series against the Dodgers. I don't know if they swept them both times. I know they swept them at home. But they have won some big series. I'm not here to suggest that they haven't. My point is that every time it's been like, okay, this is a huge series, a la Milwaukee, 3-game set right before you go into the break, 3-game set right when you come out of the break. The Cubs series, you could argue, obviously this series now. But here's the thing: they got time to right their wrong. They do have the Giants next. And then they still have 2 games in this series, so I don't want to sit here and write this series off. If they were to split this series, Nick, I'll be honest with you, that's a humongous win, a success. If you'd have told me they were going to split before the series started, I would have taken it in a heartbeat and gotten out of Arizona. But we'll see what happens. They got the Giants and the Cubs next. The problem is that just the way this team looks, they're just not playing great baseball. It's not very clean lately. There just seems to be mental mistakes, physical errors, and I don't know how you feel about it going forward, but it's certainly starting to feel like it's falling off the track in a way. And I don't want to sound too pessimistic here, Nick, but it just doesn't look like we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like, one step forward, one step back. Kind of feels like it's been that way maybe for the last, probably since that last Diamondback sweep. Is that maybe the last time we, obviously the Angels sweep, but you kind of, lost all that. I mean, I guess the Dodgers series when you felt really good after that. But, it just kind of has felt like, you've had some really nice stretches, and it kind of falls back. But still well within a race, with 5 weeks to play in the season.
Right.
Everyone's going to be a grind out pretty much at this point on. I think there's some positives to take from tonight, as ugly as the game was, and as many missed opportunities as there was, and as many mistakes as there was. I think there definitely is plenty of positives to take from this game, and I'm sure many will disagree with that. But I do like Ellie hit the ball really, really hard tonight. He had a great night at the plate. I mean, when you hit a ball 107 and 109, and then he also, laid down that nice bunt, he had a great game tonight. That's huge. Hunter Green was a lot better tonight than he was in that first start. As much as it snowballed against him, there was definitely some improvements. Not as much as we want, for our ace, but definitely some improvements. And Reds did put up 8 runs. Some of those were cheap at the end, but still, that we haven't seen a whole lot of games like that. So, hopefully you can build off that. You're facing a really, really bad pitcher tomorrow, a pitcher that has a ERA worse than Luke Weaver this season. That's been here pretty much all year. So you got to find a way to get it done tomorrow, though.
Yeah, they certainly have to win tomorrow. It feels like a must-win in a little bit of a way. Part of that is momentum. Part of that's just the fact of who's on the mound. So we'll see how it goes ultimately. Hunter Green, really want to spend a short amount of time discussing him. I think he's going to be a hot rod no matter what happens. When you sign any kind of deal in this city, you're always going to be kind of topic A of conversation. As soon as he signed that $53 million deal, like it or not, whether you want to call it an average contract or you want to call it a big contract, I think it's fair to say that it's not a nothing contract, but it's also not like this mega deal that they signed, Joey Votto or something for $250+ million, right? Like, I don't think Hunter Green's deal is going to stop the Reds from making other moves, perhaps. So I don't want anyone to get it twisted. However, when you sign a deal, you're going to have expectations that are going to raise a little bit. Hunter Green has been billed for a little bit of time here that he's going to be the frontline guy. He's going to be the ace. And he's just not pitched like an ace of recent. And obviously you add that on top of injury, I think you're going to have frustrated fans. That's where we're at right now with Hunter Green. I'm not out completely on him, obviously, but at the same time, I think there's reason for concern. He did throw a little bit better tonight, Nick, but that's also because, with all due respect, it's kind of hard to throw worse than the last time. So I guess if we want to be optimistic, we could say he threw better than the time before. But again, that's not the highest. That's not the highest honor to throw better than the last time. I don't know if you have anything else to add on Green here before we kind of move forward. I really don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I think it's a situation where he's just coming back from injury. We need him to throw the ball better. He didn't throw the ball that well, but I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock into it. I'm just not.
I mean, look, the first two innings were really good, really sharp. Last start, they were not. It was right off the get-go. He got rocked. So kept the ball in the ballpark tonight. Got a really good play from Marty in the third after he walked two batters. Kind of felt like, okay, man, he really got a break here. And then that fourth inning just really unraveled on him. But it was significantly better than the Toronto game. So you hope that you can just, build off that. Guy coming back from injury. But the Reds need him to be better. I have no concerns about Hunter Green long-term, but can Hunter Green figure it out in quick order? That's where I'm just not sure about at this point.
I think Hunter Green's going to be a guy, and I hope I'm wrong. I think he's going to be a guy that's feast or famine. I really do. I think when he goes out there, he's either going to have his stuff or he's not. And maybe he can prove me wrong. Maybe he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to battle and get away with being able to go 6-7 innings and only giving up, call it 3 runs with his B stuff or his C stuff. I don't see that. I really don't. Now, you could argue, and I've said this before, having a guy like Hunter Green as your number 3 starter, number 2 starter, number 3 starter, I'd argue a number 3 starter more often. I know people in the chat are probably going to kill me for saying that Hunter Green being a 3 starter is where you're at. I think he's a guy that's just going to struggle with consistency until he develops more pitches. Because if he's not locating his fastball, and again, I get that his slider has been above average or has been better than it has before. It's hard to be consistent in this league, especially if you're not going to have more than just a couple pitches to rely on. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening with Hunter. But again, like I said before, let's keep it moving, especially in the fact that it is 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and your boy's running on like 3 hours of sleep. Although I am probably going to get passionate about this show here in a minute. I've seen these takes online. I'm a little tired of it, to be honest. We'll see if I can hold it together and have a rational conversation. But Toxic Trace might bear his head open here in a minute. Martini, good for him, good for him. He's a guy that I think that some of us Reds fans, I don't want to mention names, of course, probably could care less whether or not he was in the lineup or not on any given night. Martini's kind of one of the, he seems like a very good candidate for obscure Red here, relatively recent and soon. Probably next year you could be like, oh, remember Nick Martini? Oh yeah, I remember him. That's kind of the thought process I had. I'm a little sad, Nick, that we didn't take advantage of a Nick Senzel home run in a huge spot, a big Tyler Stevenson hit, and a 2 home run day by Nick Martini. It feels a little disgusting that we didn't take advantage of any of that.
Yeah. The way the Reds lost tonight and yesterday is probably not how you would have expected it. That's for sure, but That's baseball. Look, Nick Martini, he's a guy that hit right-handed pitching really, really well down at Louisville. You really never know how some of those guys will translate up here. But look, the Reds need him right now. The Reds need someone to kind of be a spark that can hit right-handed pitching, because right now they don't have that guy, at least until Jake Fraley's back, if he's even able to come back and be effective. So you're going to keep riding him out there. He's a guy that he's not like this guy that I think just came out of completely nowhere. He's a guy that has had a little success at times. But yeah, big night tonight. Looked comfortable out there, that's for sure. So
yeah. Well, listen, this offense, they're not an offense right now that I have a lot of confidence in, if we're being honest. I just think they got a lot of streaky players, and depending on the night, Nick, we might score 9 runs, we might get shut out, and it's not like the beautiful thing is, I guess you can kill me for saying this. This is where I'm at. This is where my heart believes it when I watch this game and when I watch this team play for the last 2 weeks. They're just not a playoff team right now. And maybe they'll change it. Maybe you can say, Trace, you're giving up too early. You're being too pessimistic. They're just not. They don't have good at bats. They don't have enough consistent players. And some of that's just because of youth. Again, we keep kind of using this crutch that is rookies. But it is a little bit of a crutch. Like, you can't sit here and act like it's nothing. They are rookies. But they just don't have. We don't have enough what I would call consistent professional hitters right now. And CES is a guy that, like I said before, I was calling for his name to be up here time and time again. He looks like he's pressing. He's lost a little bit, and hopefully one day these guys will settle in and they'll become comfortable. And if they go 0 for 12 over a weekend series, they're good enough hitters to not let that snowball into something bigger than what that could possibly be. So that's where I'm at. There's no fix. There's no fix, Nick. It is what it is. This is who we are. They're either gonna play over their head or they're not. And I think they've played over their head at times this year. But right now, the Reds offense is who they are. It's average at best. At best, I'm trying to be nice. Average at best, Nick. I'd argue that it's probably below average if we're being completely honest. So, anything final to add on the offense before we get into the defense and bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lineup right now, 1 through 9 that they're running out there is below average right now. But you have a lot of guys with upside. So can they kind of find some magic down the stretch? Can Jonathan India and Jake Fraley come back and actually be effective? There's a lot of things that just are a lot of if. And there's some reason to have some legitimate hope about some of those things. Don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of ifs. But look, the Reds did have 11 hard hit balls tonight. The offense was pretty good. I think CS actually had a decent game tonight. He had 2 hard hit balls. He had that double, had that really in the second inning, hustled right out of the box. So that was good to see. Also, he got hit by a pitch in the ninth, but I think it was on ball 4. So he actually had a pretty good at bat late in the game. So look, you need him to be a guy that can get hot. I think he's a guy that probably has a hot streak in him. That's maybe the one guy that I'm looking at. And I think Ellie too. I think Ellie's starting to hit the ball hard. So maybe those 2 guys can kind of just get hot. And if those 2 guys can get hot, especially against some bad teams, that's where you could sneak some wins out of here and make this interesting and keep you in the race here till the end of the season.
All right, let's get into the defense. So I want to pull this play up. I know. Can I start off by saying I don't think this play won or lost the game. I don't think that we should sit here and act like this play was anything more than just a situation of a little bit of bad luck. That's all. It was a little bit of bad luck. But I do think some folks, to a certain extent, are misreading this play, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm going to clear the graphics, and I'm going to put this play up here. You guys know where I'm going with this. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I just want to kind of like walk through this a little bit. So, first and foremost, right, bases are loaded. We all know that when this gets popped up, and everybody wants to sit here and tell me that Ellie De La Cruz is quote-unquote camped underneath it, I want you to look at 2 things here. One is Spencer Steer has to make a decision right now if he thinks that he's going to just allow Ellie to catch the ball or not. He's got to make that decision right now. He obviously realizes, he looks down at Ellie Ellie's pivoting back and forth. Like, that is not camped under the ball, people. Okay? Now, I get Ellie De La Cruz is a great athlete, but let me tell you something. If your shortstop's running dead out and then spins back to his left and does kind of a little pirouette there, okay, that's not camped under the ball. It's not. Okay? So I want you to look at Steer's eyes. Steer, at this very moment, decides he has to go try to make this play. He can't look at Ellie De La Cruz anymore because if he does, he's going to misread the ball. He can't see the ball anymore. So here we go. You ready? If you're telling me that Ellie De La Cruz is camped under the ball, I'm cool with that if he catches the ball right where he's at right now. But let's watch where he actually ends up. He's on the second stripe right now. He's on that stripe right there. That's where Steer has to make the decision. Ellie catches that ball all the way out here. When is Ellie camped underneath it? Tell me that. He's still moving his feet. He's still moving his feet. He's still moving his feet. And he finally camps underneath it right there? That's camped underneath the ball? I don't see it. And I'm telling you, I get what everybody's saying. Ellie's amazing, and he has an unbelievable arm, this, that, and the other. But there's priorities in defensive metrics, and the reason you have priorities is because when there's confusion or when there's any kind of doubt, you rely on what the priorities are. If you hear Steer yelling for it, now the only thing I would say to Ellie's defense is it could be loud in the stadium, and he might not be able to hear Steer yelling, or Steer didn't yell. Okay, so I will give Ellie the credit for that. He might not have heard him, and he might not hear Steer yelling. As far as the language barrier, I got news for you. Ellie knows what I got it means, or me. So let's not play that game. So here's what I think genuinely happens. Steer's screaming at him right here, telling him that he's got it. Ellie knows that he has it. Ellie in his mind knows he has it, and he thinks he's going to cheat the system a little bit. And he's like, I'm just going to catch it because I know I got it, and I'm going to throw that guy out at home. Steer at this moment has no idea where Ellie is. He never looks down because he's looking at the ball, and he's trying to make a play. That's all that was. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's a little bit of a bad situation. But to sit here and act like he was camped underneath it and Steer has to know, again, Steer at this moment about right here has to make a decision if he's going to go try to catch that ball or not. He's going to let Ellie take it. And I'm telling you, if you see your shortstop doing this number right here, I wouldn't say that's a simple play. I wouldn't say that I'm going to let my shortstop automatically catch the ball. So again, maybe again, I get where everyone's coming from. It's Steer's baseball. That's the truth. If you want to get mad at Spencer Steer for calling it off when he should have just let Ellie take it, I can understand the logic there. But at the end of the day, there's rules for a reason. If you play the game, you realize that there's rules for a reason, because if any moment there's confusion, you know in the back of your mind as an infielder that if you hear someone else has got the ball, you get the hell out of the way. You just get the hell out of the way. And if Steer doesn't catch that ball right there, or if Steer doesn't catch the ball and be able to throw the guy out at home, that's his fault. That's his problem. You can get mad at Steer all day long for that. But in that situation, I hate to say this, but that's Ellie's fault. And it just is. Now, again, do I care a whole lot about it? Probably not. I just don't. But to sit here and act like Spencer Steer's an idiot for not letting Ellie, quote unquote, catch the ball when he was camped underneath it. I just showed you the replay. He's not camped underneath the ball. Maybe for Ellie De La Cruz he's kind of camped, but in general terms, that's not camped underneath the ball. All right. Defense as a whole, Nick, I don't know where we stand with this. I think you can point to some unbelievable plays. You can point to bad plays. The play that Marty had was unbelievable. You know, for every Will Benson play we had in this game, which I don't even think Will Benson's play was all that bad, Nick. The Marty play was incredible. So, what's your take on the defense right now?
Marty looks great. He looks very comfortable out there at third base, and that's a position he hasn't played all that long either, which is really, I think, what's encouraging about that. I think long term that's going to be just a rock solid, great defense in your infield. On that play, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right on Steer. The only thing I would just add is it's a tougher environment because it is an indoor stadium. So I don't know if maybe that played a little bit into it. You couldn't see the track of the ball, so I don't know if the ball kind of just looked like it was going to be, because remember, they called that an infield fly. I don't know where the ball ended up landing. Should it have actually been an infield fly? So that might
infield
that
fly
makes
is
me
just
think maybe it kind of carried a little bit more than it looked like originally. I don't really think that's one of those plays that I don't think you really can just be like, oh man, Ellie's an idiot, Steer's an idiot. It's a tough.
It is a tough play.
It happens, man.
I agree. I actually agree with that. I really do agree with that. I think that it's a tough play regardless. And again, the stadium can get loud, Nick. They're not playing in a little league field where, you can hear somebody from all the way across the diamond. It's might be hard to hear. And again, maybe he didn't even get called off. So again, I don't really put a whole lot of blame on one or the other and sit here and act like I could never see in a million years how you could do something a la TJ Friedel trying to throw a guy out from 395 feet. But the defense as a whole, I think we got good defenders. I think we got some good defensive players. I do miss Stuart Fairchild as much as people want to make fun of me for that. And I do think if we're going to get down to it, I have a little bit of fear for Spencer Steer playing left field on an everyday basis. I guess if he hits really, really well, you just live with it, kind of. But he kind of seems like a little, I don't know. Maybe I'll be proved wrong by kind of the metrics, Nick. But my eyes tell me that Spencer Steele seems like a little bit of like a, not, I don't want to say not an athlete because that's being disrespectful to Spencer, but just doesn't look like as fluid as a traditional outfielder. Probably because he's not an outfielder, but he could become one.
I don't know anything about Nick Martini's defense, but maybe you can make a case that Martini's actually an outfielder. Maybe he should be playing the outfield and Sear should be DHing, or CS DHing and Sear playing first base. I don't know. But wrapping it up on the defense, that play is just a tough play. I think everyone points to that one. That's like the big play of the game. But like Friedel's overthrow and Benson's overthrow that allowed the extra bases, that was bad baseball. Like that's like plays that wasn't just it was a tough play. Like those were actual bad baseball plays. So I would, if you want to find some fault with the defense, it was both of those plays more so than that tough play that just happened.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Bullpen, I really don't put a whole lot of stock into Brett Kennedy. I mean, I with all due respect, Kennedy's been great. I love the fact that he's given us 2 really good starts this year. I have nothing against him at all. But again, you just can't walk. First of all, as a staff, you can't walk that many guys as a whole. But momentum's a real thing. I mean, momentum is a real thing in the clubhouse, in the dugout, during a baseball game, the atmosphere of a crowd. We all know that. If you watch sports long enough, Mighty Mo, and I'm not talking about the guys that wear yellow in the city of Cincinnati. I'm talking about momentum. That is a real thing. Martini hits a home run, dugout's fired up, you're down by 1. What do you do for the next? What do you do in the next inning? Yeah, I'll tell you what you do. You walk, hit by pitch. Oh, well, that's good. That's great. That's like a bunch of guys grinding for an hour trying to figure out how to start a campfire, and they finally get some smoke, and somebody just comes along with their bucket of water and just trips and falls and throws it right on the pile of right on the sticks that are smoking. So but again, it's Kennedy, so I'm not going to get mad about it because it's Kennedy.
And he was put in a tough spot. Let's also not forget he was originally supposed to start this game because of how the rain out in Los Angeles. They moved him to the bullpen yesterday, so a day ahead of when he was supposed to start. So I'm sure that messed up some of his, tossing and all that kind of stuff. So he was in a tough spot. Poor guy's going to get optioned, I'm sure, tomorrow. Daniel Duarte is going to be back up. So thanks, Kennedy, for all your service. You really helped us. You're getting the option back down. Kind of stinks for him, but I'm sure there's no way they're going to leave him here. I'm sure Daniel Duarte is already on a plane somewhere.
You're probably right. Hey, this chat, I know. Listen. You know what? You know one thing I want to challenge our chat on a little bit. Listen, man, you guys are a little too predictable sometimes. The fact is that we lost the baseball game. All right, let's not try to kill each other in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Like let's all relax. I know some are frustrated, some are mad at certain people, some aren't mad at certain people. Some people think that some people are great and young, and some people don't want to hear about how young people are. I get all that, but let's just relax. Reds are going to play tomorrow. Reds hopefully will win tomorrow, and if they do, the chat's going to be back. We're all good. We're all good, chat. Let me tell you something. We're ahead of schedule, man. We're ahead of schedule. Yeah, I know you might not want to hear that, but golly day, I mean, like, what the hell did you expect? What did you expect? What did you expect? Trust me, I'm as disappointed as anybody. I thought they had me fooled. They had me fooled, man. I was hook, line, and sinker. I thought we were going to come out of that. We were 2 games up going into Milwaukee. I thought we were going to take the series from Milwaukee, be 3 games up, maybe 5 games up. Then we were going to come out of the series. We were going to take 2 or 3 more out from Milwaukee. We were going to be up like 6 or 7 games right after the All-Star break. That's what I had in my mind. It didn't go that way, though, as we all know. It didn't go that way. But golly,
I will say
man.
this.
What do you want?
I'll say this. I don't know if this team's going to make the playoffs or not, but I'll guarantee you one thing. This team is going to lose some more games this season that you're going to scratch your head at, and they're going to find a way to win some games the rest of the season that you're going to scratch your head at and wonder how they did. I think that's just how this – I think it's just going to be – you're going to see ups and downs, and it's going to – I think the Reds are going to hang in this race at least for a while, and if they do – the longer they can, the better chance they have because of the schedule coming out the stretch. But I could totally see people saying, "Oh, season's over, football season," like they're doing right now. Then next week,
right.
Oh, the Reds are right back in this, and then the week after, oh, football season, and I think you're going to see a lot of that the next couple of weeks.
It all comes down to that Cubs series.
Season is.
It comes down to the Cubs series, man. I'm not joking. No matter, I don't say no matter, but the Reds could really. It's not a kid show, so be ready. Not a kid show. The Reds could really shit the bed out here. They literally could lose the next 3 of 5. I think they got 5 games left out there. They could lose the next 4 or 5. And if they sweep the Cubs, if they were to sweep the Cubs, a 4-game set on Labor Day weekend at home, all that's forgotten. It's irrelevant because. They're going to gain. They would leapfrog the Cubs. Unless you think the Cubs are going to win the next 3 or 4 games in a row. They're not, but
if you lose every game to the Giants, you're going to have the Diamondbacks and Giants ahead of the Reds, and those have the 2 spots. So,
but then the Giants and the Diamondbacks have to play each other, and then at that point, the Diamondbacks and Giants are probably going to have to play each other again. And on top of that, listen to me. At that point, the Reds are going to be within a game or 2 of both of them, in my opinion, and they got the easiest schedule on the rest of the way out. They got the easiest schedule on the rest of the way out. Now, do I want to go into the Cubs series having to take 3 or 4 or having to sweep the Cubs? No, I don't. But I'm not. Put it this way: I will promise you one thing: I am not calling the season dead until the Cubs series is over. I'm not doing it. It's impossible. They could lose the next 5 games in a row, and I'm not doing it. Now, let's hope we don't do that.
Well, it would obviously just be nice to at least just win one of these games against the Diamondbacks. You leave town, you'd be a game and a half behind the Diamondbacks, but you have the tiebreaker. Then if you win 2 or 3 against the Giants, you have the tiebreaker on them. And then if you win 2 or 4 against the Cubs, you have the tiebreaker on them. So really, that's not all that many wins, but you would have the tiebreakers on the 3 teams right now that are tied or ahead of you. So, realistically, win one of the next 2 or 3 from the Giants, split 4 games with the Cubs, and you're probably in a really, really good spot.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for Trey Mancini to put the nail in the coffin of the Chicago Cubs. I can't wait for it. I hope. Listen, if you want me to fire you up a little bit, you want me to make you feel a little bit better, I'm telling you, that's coming. That's coming. That is coming. The Chicago Cubs are going to get. I think the Chicago Cubs are going to get. They're going to lose 3 or 4, or they're going to get swept by the Cincinnati Reds. I can feel it in my bones. Trey Mancini is going to have the week of his life, and all Cubs fans are going to be miserable in Great American Ballpark. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to
it. It's a long trip back to Mason. Long trip.
Yeah. All right. I had to be somewhat positive on this show. It's been a little depressing in the chat. I mean, if you look in the chat, it's like it's a woe is me crowd. All right, Reds MILB, Nick. Let's get to it.
All right. No Louisville tonight. They got rained out, so you got a little bit shorter tonight. Chattanooga Lookouts, they lost 4-0 to Tennessee Lookouts, now 64-53 on the year. Julian Aguilar, really nice performance tonight, 6 innings, just gave up 2 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Aguilar now has a 2.62 ERA, 22 starts between Dayton and Chattanooga. Blake Dunn, 2 for 5, stole his 47th bag of the year tonight. High A Dayton, they lost a tough one, 3-2 to the Lansing Lugnuts. Dragons now 60-58 on the season, but Jose Acuna, 4 innings, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. The 20-year-old Acuna, he's got a 3.61 ERA across 94 innings this season. Pretty good season from him. Edwin Arroyo, 1 for 4 with the triple. Sal Stewart, 2 for 4. Carlos Jorge, 1 for 3. And one other note, Andrew Moore pitched 2 innings in this game, just 1 hit, no runs, struck out 3 batters. Over his last 3 games, Andrew Moore, 5 2/3 innings, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Moore was part of the return for Luis Castillo, but he's battled a ton of injuries. A really talented guy that probably, I think he's kind of gone back and forth between reliever and starter, but good for him. Hopefully he can finish the year strong because he is a very talented pitcher. And then low A, the Daytona Tortugas, they lost 3-2 to Fort Myers, 51-46 on the season. Not a whole lot going on in this game. Collier and Acosta each over 4. Alan Serta did triple in this game. But that's it. Reds MILB presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
I said I love that. Who, what, when, where, and why, Nick?
Who, what, when, and why. I believe it has been lively. I haven't seen otherwise. I'm sure with Kennedy pitching, it's been lively. Let's hope Ben Lively has some of that magic from earlier, because in his 2 rehab starts, he gave up 10 runs in 5 2/3 innings. On his last start before he went on the IL, he gave up 13 earned runs in Chicago. So let's hope Ben Lively has some magic. He's somehow had it all year. Lefties crush him. So Nick Martini, let's keep it rolling, buddy. Friedel, 2 for 3 in his career against Davies. Stevenson is 2 for 9. That's the only 2 active Reds to have faced Davies. So, this guy you want to see.
Yeah, let's hope the Reds can find a way. Find a way. College football is back tomorrow, too, by the way, if you care about such a thing. Just a reminder for everybody. Speaking of Betfred Sportsbook, before we jump on here, San Jose State, if you're a degenerate, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All right. I think at this point it is what it is. I need some rest. You need some rest. We all need some rest. These late night games, man, they'll wear on you. They'll wear on you, especially if you have to edit a golf video and then you got to turn around and host a morning show. Got to be honest with you, I've been fighting tooth and nail to stay up to do this show, and I'm glad I could do it. But I got to be honest, chat. We'll be back better than ever tomorrow. I know I might be able to make it. We'll see. I got a wedding that I got to go to tomorrow. Might be a situation where I can make it back in time. If I'm not, Nick will have you covered, of course. But the Reds are gonna, they're gonna be okay, one way or the other. I don't want to tell you that I think that they're gonna be fine tomorrow because I don't want to jinx anything. And by tomorrow, I mean today, because hell, it's already tomorrow. So that's where we're at.
8:10 tomorrow.
8:10.
8:10. So we do get a hour and a half earlier. Bryce Spalding will be joining us tomorrow night. So
love that.
Looking forward to that.
Nice. Well, shout out to Bryce, and shout out to Nick for always holding it down. Thank you for watching this show. We really do appreciate it.
Big Z.
Big Z.
Big Z super chat.
What? We got a super chat?
We got a super
coming
chat.
In late. $10 from the Big Z.
At the buzzer.
At the buzzer. Coming in late with the outro music. Do the Hunter Green struggles in with Casale possibly coming back to catch for him? Big Z, I don't know if Casale's that important, if we're being completely honest. I don't know if that's a bit or not, but if it's not a bit, that's pretty funny. If it is a bit, it's even funnier. Big Z, we'll get into that. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe Sunday. Whenever I'm back, though, Big Z, I'll make that a pressing matter in my mind. I'll think to myself
Season
tonight.
saver, Kurt
Casale. Kurt Casale is what we're missing. That's what it is. Go Reds. See you tomorrow, everybody.